Hi and welcome to another tutorial. In today's lesson we'll learn how to recreate this cool looking 3D text effect using Adobe After Effects. So anyways guys, let's jump in. So the first thing that we have to do here is we have to create a new composition. I'm running with a 1920 by 1080 pixel document, 30 FPS at a duration of about 15 seconds. Alright, now before you press OK, make sure that your 3D renderer is set to Cinema 4D. And once you've got that, then you can just press OK and you can now start creating. So the first thing that we're going to do is we are going to create a new text layer, and I'm just going to call it 3D text. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to align that to the center of the composition. The font that I'm using is called Go Bold Bold, and you can find that in the description below. So now once we have that, what we need to do is we need to click on this toggle switches mode until we can see the 3D layer option. We're going to turn our text into a 3D layer. While we're here, I'm just going to hold Command and double click this icon over here just to move that point into the middle. And then once we have done that, then what we need to do is we need to open up the text layer over here, go to geometry option, go to extrusion depth and change that to 100. And so now if I press C, which is the orbit around icon, now you can see we have some depth in that text. And if you increase this anymore, you will see that it will start to come out even further. But I'm kind of happy with 100 and I'm going to put my text back there. I'm also going to change the bevel to angular, and I'm just going to increase the depth to about maybe 2.5, something like that. So now once I have that, the next thing that I need is a camera. So I'm just going to right click, add a new camera. I'm just going to go with a default 50mm camera. I'm going to leave that there. And I also need some lighting. So I'm just going to right click and add a new light. I'm just going to have a parallel light. And so I'm just going to move this. So I'm going to click the select tool. I'm going to find that X axis and I'm going to move it until it sits maybe pointing at that X over there. And so now what I need to do is I need to duplicate that. So I'm going to press Command D or Control D to duplicate that. I'm just going to change the view to top, and on the second light, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to move it until it's on the other side, and we'll just illuminate that area over there. So I have one light, you know, maybe illuminating the last side and another light illuminating, you know, the first letter over there. So now I'm going to change that back to active camera and put it down to my original view. The next thing that I need to do is now we're going to add some, you know, colors to this. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up this Adobe Firefly. Now, if you don't know what Adobe Firefly is, it's a text-to-image AI kind of generation software, and it's very similar to like Midjourney and other AI tools like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write this prompt in here: abstract pink swirl neon background in the synthwave style. And when I've generated that, it's given me these 4 images here. Now, the one that I like the most is probably going to be this one, but honestly, you could use any, you know, text that you want to create the colors that you want. So once you're happy with your design, just press this download button, and then we'll import that back into Adobe After Effects. So now I've got my background there, and I can just drag it in here. The first thing that I need to do is I just need to scale that up just so it's a little bit bigger than the text that I have. And then what I need to do is I need to right click on that and go to environment layer. And still nothing has changed because I need to go into my material options for my text layer and increase the reflection intensity. I'm going to bring that up to, let's say, 100%. There's also other options in here that you can change. For example, you know, if you increase the specular shininess or the specular intensity, you know, they all kind of give different options. So maybe I'll increase that to about 75. I'm going to reduce the shininess so I can have more white text, I guess. And you can also play around with some of the diffuse settings if you like. So there's a whole range of stuff in here that you can have a look at. And then if I press C and if I rotate that around, you can see that now we have that cool AI generated background on the text over there. So now what we need to do is we need to animate the text. So that's pretty easy. We can just go to the camera over here, open up the transform settings, and we can just hit on point of interest and position. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make sure that I've hit the orbit around cursor, so C, and now I can move this around to wherever I like. So, you know, we can start off the text, you know, maybe over here somewhere, move forward, you know, a couple of seconds, and then, you know, we can rotate it to wherever we like. So maybe somewhere down there, and then I'm just going to rotate it slowly just so it, you know, fits in somewhere like that. And I'm just gonna move it around a little bit, something like that, so it's in the middle. And so once you have all of that, then you can go through and see how it looks. So I have a bit of a slow animation there of the text, and then it starts off by, you know, kind of zooming in and falling back down and then just, you know, resting there. So that looks pretty cool. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight all of those keyframes, go to animation, keyframe assistant, go to easy ease, or you can just press F9. And the other thing that I'm going to do here is I'm going to add some text effects or text animation presets to the 3D text. So if I click on that 3D text layer, go to effects and presets, go to animation presets, and then there's a whole bunch of 3D text. The one that I like is this 3D flip in rotate X, and that will now bring in every character separately. And so now you have the camera animation plus the individual character animation, and that's looking pretty cool. So once you're happy with all of that, the next thing that we need to do is we need to highlight all of those layers over there. Go to layer, pre-compose, and we'll just call that text. We need to add a background, so I'm just going to right click, go new solid, and we will put we'll call it BG. I'm just going to bring that down over there. So I'm going to search for the effect called gradient ramp. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to zoom in just so I can get one of these colors here. So I'm just going to pick like maybe a darker, you know, pink, or maybe that's a bit too dark. Maybe we'll pick something like that. And maybe we'll even just tone it down a bit. So just bring it a little bit darker, just so that you can see what's happening there. So now once we have that, so the thing that I would change in here, I would change it to a radial ramp. I would swap the colors, and then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to bring this point, maybe I'll bring that to the middle over there, and then I'll just bring the black point down here, just so it creates a kind of softer vignette, something like that. So you can, you know, play around with some of those settings, and if that color is still a bit too bright or dark, you can just change it to whatever colors that, you know, pop out of here. So if you wanted something maybe a little bit darker, you know, something like that, or you want maybe, I'll just leave it like that. So I think that looks pretty cool. So the final thing that we're going to do here is we're just going to add a scale in animation. So I'm going to press S for scale, hit that stopwatch, move to the end of the timeline, and then go and put it to 120%. Just scrub through to see that the text actually stays in the middle and that it doesn't go off the screen. I think that looks pretty nice. I'm also going to add an adjustment layer. And inside the adjustment layer, I'm going to add a effect called noise. I'm going to bump that noise right up to about 10%. And I think that looks pretty cool. So the final thing that I'm going to do here is I'm just going to add some glow. And I'm just going to bring down the glow intensity to, let's say, 0.4. maybe even less, you know, maybe 0.2, and I'll probably increase the threshold to, let's say, 100. And now we've got like some cool glowing bits at the end, and it doesn't look exactly the same as the background. So that looks pretty cool. The only other thing that I did was I added some particles, and this was just stock footage. So all I have to do is just change the mode to screen, and I just have to change the opacity by hitting T. I'm just gonna bring that down to, you know, maybe something like, you know, 30%, something like that. And now what we'll have is we'll have this cool, you know, particle stock footage effect, you know, that goes through the animation as well. And yeah, that's basically it. So anyways, guys, I hope you learned something. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.